Before we get started, let's address the elephant in the room. I got a fresh retwist. Yes, look at it. Get into it. Get into the clean parts. Yes. Also, I haven't uploaded in 3 months. For the unacquainted, hello, my name is Kennedy. For the acquainted, you might be wondering where I've been. Basically, what had happened was, at the beginning of this year, I started taking Vyvanse, which is a medication to manage ADHD. I started at 20 milligrams, and then after a month, I went up to 30. I told my doctor, I was like, I think I need more. I did not need more. I took that 30 milligram pill and I tweaked out. And when I came down off of it, it basically hard reset all of the progress that I had made towards my ADHD. So I went from being a functional human being to laying in bed all day, eating a bunch of Bomba Clot, and playing Tomodachi Life for hours on end. After about 2 months of living like that, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta get myself together. And I spent the past month doing just that, getting myself together. And now I'm here, now I'm back, and I'm making a video on how I got myself together. So yeah, that's what the video's about. How I manage my ADHD as an adult. Before we get started, I just want to say, happy Pride Month. I know I'm late, and I don't even know if this video is going to go up during Pride Month, but happy Pride Month. Shout out to my gay niggas. I support. Oh, and one more thing. I do have my script over here because if I don't look at it, I will ramble. So if you see me looking over here, it's my script. Okay? Good. Let's get started. I don't know if I've ever said this, but when I was 18, I got diagnosed with ADHD, which is pretty late. Most of the time, it gets caught in childhood. Mine got caught when I was an adult. I'm currently 21, so it has been 4 long years of learning how to manage this disorder. It's been difficult, okay? I will not front. It has been hard. I'm sure we all have a general idea of what ADHD is, but before we get started, I'm gonna give you the definition so we're on the same page, okay? ADHD is attention hyperactive affective disorder. It is a developmental disorder and it is a disability. It's generally split into 2 types, inattentive and hyperactive. I'm not going to talk about hyperactive because 1, it gets a lot of rep. 2, I don't have it. I'm going to focus on inattentive. Inattentive, I call it like the bummy type just because that's how it manifests, you know. From the outside looking in, it looks like I'm lazy. It looks like I don't care about life. But from the inside, I know what's going on, okay? And what's going on in my brain is that I have a very hard time willing myself to do things. ADHD affects every single aspect of my life. It's very difficult for me to take care of myself. It's very difficult for me to feed myself. I burn out incredibly quickly when I work. I cannot keep a job for more than like 3 months without burning out. My memory is not great. And also fatigue. Oh my God. Fatigue and executive dysfunction are probably 2 of the worst things that come from ADHD because when they combine, it literally just feels like I'm depressed. I cannot do anything. Can't even get out of bed to take care of myself. It's hard for me to function as a normal adult. Like I said, I can't keep jobs. I low-key think of managing my ADHD amongst my other mental illnesses as a full-time job, except it does not pay. It pays in me, not myself. But it doesn't pay in money, which you need to survive in this capitalistic hellhole. I cannot stress this enough. ADHD is a disability. Some people function better with it than others. I honestly don't know where I fall on the functionality scale. But it is a disability, okay? Every time I say that, I think about that one tweet that's like, damn, you people can't do anything. You really can't. Like, it's hard. It will hinder you in so many different ways, especially if you're going at it without treatment or medication. ADHD is not just like a mental thing. It comes with a shrunken prefrontal cortex and a lack of dopamine. Dopamine is not just a happy chemical. Neurotypical people have a higher baseline of dopamine, which allows them to do stuff easily. Like getting out of bed, going to the bathroom, making food for themselves. Not a big deal for neurotypical people. That takes a lot of effort for me. Sometimes I don't even do it. And because of that lower level of dopamine, you, as a person with ADHD, now have to use a lot more mental energy to compensate for that, which leads to you burning out. This is also why people with ADHD struggle with impulse control, lack of focus, attention, things like that. It's all the brain's way of trying to cope with this lower level of dopamine. It's not something that you can mind over matter your way out of, and in my experience, using willpower alone has only made me feel worse in the end. Even before my diagnosis, I struggled a lot with my self-worth because I am watching, like, my peers, people my age, do things and they're fine. Like, socializing is not hard for them. Driving is not hard for them. Getting schoolwork done, not hard for them. And then here I am struggling, but I have to make it seem like I'm not struggling. And it was a tough time. Before and after I got diagnosed, I struggled with my self-worth because of that. Like, I can't do what everybody else can do easily. And that sucks. But in the end, I have come to realize that I'm not lazy. I'm not a bum. I'm just different. My brain works differently. And I can either learn to work with that or I can wallow in self-pity. And wallow I did. I wallowed for a good 2 years after I got my diagnosis. And then I was like, damn, I can't live like this. So here I am now, sitting in front of my phone, talking about my ADHD, giving you the tips, giving you the tricks on how I manage it. Starting with the first method I used to help was dopamine before a task. If the problem is less dopamine, then I should just supplement the dopamine, you know? So before I started a task, I would listen to a song I liked. Or after a task, I would give myself a little treat. This method works to begin with, but in the long term, I can't really recommend it just because of how the ADHD brain works. It is very easy to fall for cheap dopamine. And what I mean by cheap dopamine is things that don't help you. Like, they give you that hit of dopamine, but they aren't actually helping you in the long run. Don't know if I mentioned this, but people with ADHD are more likely to become addicted to things, which is why supplementing dopamine is a very slippery slope. It's incredibly easy to get addicted to things like food, video games, social media, what else? Drugs. Drogas, yes. I would know. I would know. Not only do those things provide dopamine, but they also give you a false sense of regulation. Like, I remember the first time I drank, I was like, wow, do normal people feel like this all the time? Because I feel great. For once, I wasn't overthinking every single thing. Same thing when I smoked. And like I said, very slippery slope. Within months, I was dependent on smoking weed, which I am not anymore. But I was. It took a long time to break that dependence, and that's also why I shelved this method. Because again, it works when you're just starting, but after a while, you have to find another way to supplement that dopamine, or else you're going to go down that slippery slope of using the cheap stuff. And you don't want to do that, because it's not good for your brain. Everything that I just said, drugs, alcohol, social media, food, it's not good for you. I mean, food is good for you, but like, normally people with ADHD are reaching for junk food. They're reaching for candy, they're reaching for sweets, because that's going to give you the biggest hit of dopamine. My family thinks I have a crazy sweet tooth, but when I'm on Vyvanse, it's gone, because I only eat candy for stimulation. So again, method is okay, not great in the long term. Something that I have used in the long term is breaking up tasks and then counting down. So basically what I would do is, let's say I have a big task, going to the bathroom, right? Mentally, when you have ADHD, you're going to overthink everything, and that overwhelms you before you've even gotten up. So let's say I'm in bed and I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom. Immediately my brain is overthinking. Immediately my brain is like, well, you need to take a shower too, and you should probably brush your teeth, and you need to wash your face. But also, you should probably take a shower. And if you take a shower, you need to eat so you don't pass out. But there's nothing you really want to eat. And by the way, you should probably open your curtains, and you haven't vacuumed in a really long time. Your room's disgusting. You're just constantly overthinking, and then before you know it, you're overwhelmed before you've left the bed. So breaking things up and counting down. Let's say I want to get out of bed. I'm laying down in bed. I'm going to count down from 10, and by the time I'm at 1, my feet are on the ground. Again, I want to stand up. Start at 10, and by the time I get to 1, I'm standing. Now that I'm standing, it's easier to go to the bathroom. Start at 10, and by the time I'm at 1, I'm at the bathroom door. This method works for 2 reasons. 1, you're breaking up the task. When you have ADHD, you gotta break your tasks up. If you have one big task, you're gonna be overwhelmed and you're not gonna do it. 2, it builds trust with yourself. The thing is, you have to get up. If you say, I'm going to do this by the time I get to 1, you gotta do it. And what that's going to do, that's going to slowly build trust within yourself. A lot of the times when you have ADHD, there's stuff you want to do, things that you know you need to get done, and you constantly tell yourself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this done. And then the time comes for you to do the task, and it doesn't get done. And then what happens? You feel sad, you feel like a piece of crap, you're like, damn, I can't do anything. And then this also reaffirms in your brain, when you tell yourself you're going to do stuff, you don't do it. The countdown method fixes that. By the time you get to 1, you do it. No matter how small or big it is, you do it by the time you get to 1. Also, with this method, you gotta keep moving. It's, what was that man's name? Newton? The law of motion? Was that it? I don't know. An object in motion stays in motion. So once you start moving, you do not stop moving. Do not sit down. Don't pick up that damn phone. And if you pick up that phone, do not go on TikTok, because that's 10 hours gone right there. Okay? You gotta keep moving, no matter how small the action is. Keep that momentum, because once you lose it, it's gone. One of the biggest things that has helped me for sure is emotional regulation and neuroplasticity exercises. Regulating your nervous system is one of the most important things you can do, not just as a person with ADHD, but in general. If you're not regulating your nervous system, what are you doing? But when you're neurodivergent, you are living in a world that is not intended for us, okay? People with conditions like ours are an afterthought. And 9 times out of 10, you are going to be in environments that expect you to function as if you don't have anything going on. And that's exhausting. The nervous system controls every single part of our body, and when it's out of whack, you will feel it, okay? It will manifest in migraines, headaches, loss of weight, loss of appetite. Maybe you might get more appetite. Maybe you might be eating everything all the time to deal with stress. Fatigue, insomnia, you name a negative, you'll probably experience it if you're dysregulated. In my case, when I was incredibly dysregulated from my last job, I was waking up in fight or flight. I was so incredibly anxious that I could not eat. I could not move. I literally just was scrunched up in bed, tense. And it took me months of regulation to get back to a point where I wasn't like that anymore. Again, because the world is not very friendly to people with disabilities, it's very easy for you to become dysregulated, which is why it's all the more important for you to know how to regulate yourself. My personal favorite methods for regulation are EFT tapping, meditation, and yoga. I like them. They're cool. However, they do work the more consistently you do them, and people with ADHD tend to struggle with consistency. One of the quickest things to do, like you will immediately notice the difference, take a cold shower. Like start it off normal, get under the water, keep it warm, wash your body, and then in the last 5 minutes, ice cold water. You will immediately notice a difference. There's also an overlap with emotional regulation and neuroplasticity, okay? They kind of go together. Doing neuroplasticity exercises is important because it grows your prefrontal cortex. And in turn, that helps you manage your ADHD because, like I said, the problem, shrunken prefrontal cortex. The more new things that you try and stay consistent with, the more neural pathways your brain will begin to build. It's kind of like weightlifting, but for your brain. There are a lot of neuroplasticity exercises you can do. I'll just put a list up. I'm not finna list them all. Try them, see what you like, see what you can stay consistent with, and do it. And you will notice a difference. The most effective method, sadly, by and far, has been medication. Medicating myself, okay? And not self-medication, actual legit medication from my doctor. It's hard for me to explain how ADHD medication makes me feel, but I will try. Just give me a second. Okay, so it's kind of like in Mario Kart, like all the methods that I just gave you, it's like driving normally on a course, but medication is like getting the star. Like you take that pill and you're like, I have had my ups and downs with medication. Most people will. It's kind of rare, honestly, to have a good experience with the very first medication you take. The first thing I took was Adderall, right? And it started off great. I remember I actually cried the first time I took it because I was like, damn, I've really been living life on hard mode, if this is what life is like for normal people. But after about a month of taking it, it was making me depressed. I couldn't take it anymore. I switched to Vyvanse, and so far, it's okay. I don't take it every day. I only take it when there is a large task that I need to complete. I don't really want to become dependent on it, but we'll see what happens, you know. If you have access to legal and safe medication, I would highly recommend trying it at least once, because the difference that it makes is night and day. And although I do take medication, all of the other methods that I listed, I am functional with them. Like, I'm functional without medication, and it's thanks to everything that I just said. So if you can't get your hands on some pills, you should still try out everything that I just said, okay? I think we're at the end of the video. Moral of the story: ADHD is hard to live with. It is not impossible to live with. If I can do it, you can probably do it too. Do I have anything else to say? Take safe medications. If you have ADHD, don't do drugs. It's a slippery slope. Ask me how I know. With that being said, I do think we're done here. I think I'm out of things to say. So thank you for making it to the end of the video. Hopefully, I will see you in the next one. And hopefully I'll stay consistent. Bye-bye.